Welcome to SolFul Connections, where we skip the small talk and head right into the soul talk. I'm Amanda Solar, and each week we share the kinds of stories that remind us we're not alone. It's about being human, raw and unfiltered, just real talk. Let's connect.
Connection.
So today I am talking with Wendy Guth and Krystal Eicher, the duo behind Serendipitous Rebel. And I want to hear all about what it is, why it is, how it is. But first, actually, Wendy, Krystal
Yes.
and I had the opportunity to meet a little bit for a pre-podcast meeting. But
Yes.
Wendy, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. It is so nice to meet you too.
And Krystal, it's so nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you again as well.
So I mentioned I was having technical difficulties and I was blaming it on the season. This podcast won't come out until the new year, but I'm wondering how you both are feeling. Like it's the time of year, end of the year, holiday season. Do you feel like energized, overwhelmed, happy, depressed, all of the above?
It's such a loaded question. I mean,
I know.
So if I can actually start, I had knee surgery on Tuesday. So I am right now in a little bit of pain,
Oh,
but slowing, and I've now slowed down to, well, not even a crawl. So it's a forced slow down to end the year, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, but and it's something I'm not really used to.
no. I mean, we expect everything from ourselves. And so what about you, Krystal? How are you feeling?
completely overwhelmed right now. I kept thinking like today was like the end. Today was like the finish line because this is the Friday. So we're recording this on the Friday before the holidays. And so I know like next week it's Christmas. So a lot of us are like really trying to wind down today. And there was just something about like a little bit this morning. I realized I don't think I'm as ready as I thought I was going to be. There were all these other things I wanted to do. And likewise, like some last minute pings from clients who I was very vocal with that we were closing up shop on Friday. I really took it to heart. So I don't know if you saw when somebody has shown up on my calendar at 3:00 this afternoon. Very suddenly, and it's fortunately a client of ours that I really, really love. So I'm not mad about it, but I'm also like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're going to do that too. And so I think that, it's just all of the things, and there's so much pressure around the season because now we've got to do the baking things and the getting the gifts wrapped and all of the other stuff. It's just heavy.
I sometimes think it's heavier for women. I really do, because we have such expectations, first of all, for ourselves, from other people. I was thinking this morning, if I had not started a gazillion traditions, it would be easier. There's something about the holidays, Christmas in particular, for those who celebrate it, that I do think, I mean, for me, I shouldn't say for everybody, because I'm sure that some people are sail smoothly in, but for me, it's the weight of everything. Like I kind of think it's like this giant spotlight on everything.
And we celebrate all the holidays.
Nice.
So this month
Nice, or maybe not nice. I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is absolutely crazy. And I have to laugh when it comes to traditions, because I did not grow up with Christmas. This is something that came really with kids, husband and kids. And so I've jumped overboard with traditions. And, one of the things we do every year is we go to visit there's a national Christmas tree in DC, and then there are state trees. And I go and take pictures of every state tree, every territory. It's this production. And this year I'm like, okay, you know,
You
how
had
am
knee
I gonna-
surgery.
yeah, how am I going to do this? But and then there's so much pressure, um, and there's expectations, and I think sometimes that's the hardest part, and it does. If there's no question, it falls on women to make sure that things happen the way everyone thinks they're supposed to happen, and all of that. Yeah, so it's, and fortunately well, I don't know if it's fortunate, but my kids are college age now, and so they're not littles anymore. But in a way that does mean that they have just different expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that can be even harder. I mean, listen, a 2-year-old, you can give them a box and cookies.
Yeah.
You know, it is
Yes.
interesting. I should do a whole podcast just on expectations. You know,
Mm.
I kind of feel like as you're talking, I'm thinking, boy, expectations, it can kill relationships. It can kill our self approval.
Mhm.
It can kill friendships. Like, so speaking of friendships, you are a partnership, you're a duo
Mhm.
professionally. So I want to talk about what that's like. I haven't actually ever in business been with like one other person as a partnership. Well, first of all, can you share what is Serendipitous Rebel? What is it?
So, Serendipitous Rebel is a business that we are business coaches and marketing coaches, and we work with a lot of online business owners, life coaches, especially relationship coaches. Uh, those tend to be our powerhouse women that we work with. But we really also have focused more on the last several years. We run business retreats for women, and Wendy and I started Serendipitous Rebel actually after a really toxic partnership relationship with a third person. Wendy and I have been in the online business space for quite a few years now. And we started just as friends, and we started teaching virtual summits together and just became really fast and furious friends. And it was in 2020 when the pandemic had kind of come about. We were both working in the travel industry, and as you can imagine, the pandemic really put a big halt in our travel businesses. And we were invited with someone to come and actually start a membership program where I would teach marketing and Wendy would teach mindset. She was doing life coaching certifications at the time. And this other person was going to teach business operations, and we were going to do a membership. And after about 18 months, that imploded in a lot of different ways, because working with somebody we always tell people, if you're going to go to business with somebody, it's kind of like being married to somebody in a lot of different ways. And there are some really core questions you should be asking yourself before you sign that little piece of paper, whether it's marriage or business or really doing anything with someone. There are some things that you really have to know ahead of time. I think it's kind of one of those things, kind of like a bad breakup. You have to go through some of those things to sometimes learn what you don't, because you don't know what you don't know. But in that first iteration of that partnership, I think we learned the importance of being on the same page as far as your values. Are you in alignment with your values? Are you in alignment with your goals, with where you want to go? Again, it's kind of like being in a marriage. Do you want kids or do you not want kids? These are really important questions to ask before you do it. And I think that as we were going through that first iteration of partnership, Wendy and I started talking on the side about what it is that we really want, and really want, not in a performative standpoint, not in a I'm trying to impress you standpoint, but in a what is it that we really want out of business and out of a partnership. And realized really quickly that the partnership we were in was not it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up closing down that business and starting Serendipitous Rebel in 2021. Is that right, Wendy? I think we're coming up on.
I think it's 2022.
Is it 2022? The years are all like blending together.
Well, our sense of years, like I think something happened with COVID where organized in my mental processing of the years until COVID, and now I have no idea. So Serendipitous Rebel, what made you name it that?
So in our travel life, I was Rebel on the Go, and Krystal was Serendipitous Traveler. So we took the most important pieces of our previous lives, and it just blended together perfectly.
Yeah, I love it. Well, where you guys does your original name live with you individually? Do you know what I mean? So where Wendy is the rebel within you and where Krystal is still the serendipitous in you?
So I am a Sagittarian. So there really is a very strong desire to be a rebel, and I follow the beat of my own drum. I like to say I'm the mistress of my own destiny, and that's really really important to me. And I think that that's one of the things that I really value and appreciate about Krystal is she allows me to have sometimes I would just say like very loose, I'm a rebel. I don't always follow okay, I never follow deadlines. Deadlines are really hard. And actually we work it's like I'm a school child. We work hard to get me, to find the structure I need to function, yet at the same time allowing me to really kind of go. And I always have the image. I'm a rower and a kayaker, so it's going down the water, which is pretty rebellious, yet making sure you have the banks in place so you don't hurt yourself. So yeah, there's no question. And I think that sometimes those 6 a.m. Voxers that say, I have a demon baby, that's the rebel in me. And I just know to couch it in a way that doesn't freak out Krystal.
Demon baby.
So if Whitney is the ideator in our partnership, in our duo, and so really being able to, and she's constantly ideating, and this is a beautiful thing. And I think this gives us amazing forward momentum and lets us like think outside the box, right? I tend to be more of the processor and of the, okay, that sounds great. How are we going to execute that? Demon baby sort of thing. And so figuring out a way to receive the idea, say, yes, let's run with that, and schedule it appropriately down the line and figure out where that's all going to fit into the big plans of things.
So a demon baby is like a big idea or like, okay.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, I think in theory, people really like the idea of a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
What is the reality of how you make that work?
So I would say that one of the things, and I think we learned this really well in not having a great partnership at first, was Wendy and I value the relationship over everything else. Okay. I think that's step one, is that we lead with kindness. And that does not mean, and it's one of our core values. And we've actually been talking about values a lot behind the scenes, but kindness is a core value for both Wendy and I. And I think that we lead with kindness always. That does not mean that we shy away from hard conversations, but we lead with kindness because we value the relationship. And then in valuing the relationship, I think we both recognize each other's strengths. And so there are certain things that is Wendy's lane. I don't touch that. I will defer to her expertise. Now, that doesn't mean I might ask questions or we might have disagreements about things or discussions, I think more than disagreements. But if I have questions or we need to talk through things, I will at some point defer to her expertise, but likewise, she defers to my expertise in certain lanes and certain areas. And there gets to be a point where we can recognize in each other, okay, I'm really going to put my foot down here, but it's because I know, in my core, this is the right way to go. And we have enough mutual respect for each other to make that work. And then I think we utilize a lot of tools in the toolbox to say, like, hey, I'd never let something fester behind the scenes before I pick up the phone and say, hey, I think we got to talk about this. Or, hey, I didn't like the way that happened. It happens so rarely now that we've been working together for 5 or 6 years now, almost. That's such a rare thing.
Mhm.
But when it does, let's discuss it. Let's lead with curiosity. Let's lean into this and have the hard conversations and then move on down the line. But that I think having that alignment of values and where it is that we want to go with this partnership, what is it that we're wanting out of this business, even down to the revenue number. There's no skewed expectations of what it is that we're going to get out of this, and understanding why it is that we're in business, I think is unique in that, we're both really privileged that we have husbands that work and have other incomes, and we are both navigating different things in our personal lives. And so I think being very clear of, like, okay, these are the revenue goals. This is how much money I want to make. This is how much time I have to give.
Mhm.
And can we build a business around that? I think is really important in a partnership, because I think we'll come in with like skewed expectations or all of those other things that can go wrong, because they do. But I think being able to navigate in that way has been really valuable.
Yeah. And if I could add, what I find so interesting about us is that we did not come into this as friends first. I think that, we've actually worked with a number of partnerships where they're either a relative or friends first, and I have this great idea, let's make it happen, those sorts of things. So our friendship developed along with our partnership,
Interesting.
which I actually think is really, well, it's fabulous. And I think with that comes, just as Krystal said, comes this, a very rich communication and a respect for each other, that we're coming at it from just sort of a different angle. And I mean, there's no question, Crystal's my sister, though every now and then someone will say, is she your daughter? Anyway, we won't go there.
At an airport.
It was like, okay, possibly.
Live on emotionally.
Exactly. And even though we are in really different seasons, I think our priorities are so incredibly aligned.
Mhm.
And there's no question, family comes first.
Mhm.
And that includes, I think, each other. If it's like, we really need to take a day, or one of us needs to take a day off for whatever reason, no problem. Or kids come first. Our families, that is such a priority. And there's there's no judgment.
Yeah.
And we look at everything from, it's definitely more of, I'm curious, and there's no way I'm going to judge. And yeah, and also, I think we have a good, healthy perspective on a lot of things, because we have a lot of life experiences that may not be necessarily similar, but there's a good bit of parallel. So yeah, I think that we are unique, but that makes us, I think, so wonderful.
Well, and also if you're helping people with their marketing, that kind of overlap and also diversity of thought,
Mhm.
I would think would be helpful. What fuels you for this business? So you did say you have a thriving family that comes with busyness. You
Mhm.
have husbands who are working. What makes you do this and not just maybe go get a job that kind of is like an added income,
Yeah.
or,
Mhm.
what is it about this that fuels you?
So during the pandemic, I did a lot of self reflection and a lot of work on myself. Coming from the travel industry where everything shut down, it was painful to cancel things that you work hard to put together. So, one of the things I really dug into is, who am I? What drives me? What gets me out of bed in the morning? And for me, it's the need to belong. And so this business and really the partnership with Krystal feeds the need to belong. It also, I know for my strengths, a love of learning. And my God, I learn something new every single day, which is absolutely fantastic that I don't know if I would find if I just went back to, I did a 9 to 5 for over 20 years. So, I just think that this actually feeds everything that I need.
Yeah, and for me, it's a little bit different in that I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. My daughter has special needs, and going to a regular 9 to 5 just didn't work, between therapy schedules and doctor's appointments and everything else. But my brain was itching for more. It just was. And that's not to say that I don't want to say that being a stay-at-home mom was not enough, because I never want to couch being a stay-at-home mom. That is a full-time job. That's a lot of hard work. I also think I needed something that was just for me, that was outside of my daughter. And I was also a military spouse. So my identity was really tied to, oh, you are Lieutenant Eicher's wife, Captain Eicher's wife, as he moved up the ranks to now Lieutenant Colonel Eicher's wife, right? Nobody knew me just as Krystal. And then I was Sydney's mom, right? And that was a full-time job of navigating all of the things. Prior to all of that, I was the special event coordinator for the city of Long Beach at 19 years old, running the Olympic swim trials. I was doing all of these things and doing it well, and yet was sitting here on the side just trying to figure out like my own identity around it. So I started my own business and really put a lot into that because I wanted something that stood alone for me, and that was really important to me. And then also be able to balance all these other responsibilities that I had at home and other things that were important to me, because I love being Sydney's mom and now, mom to everybody else. But I this job exercises something in me on like a self-actualization level that gives me something to lean into, and like Wendy said, that satisfies curiosities and loves of learning and challenges me in different ways, but also I think connects me to a network of people that I would not have the opportunity to do just living in the suburbs of Houston, Texas, um, and attending the PTO. um, those moms are fine, but we don't really jive always. I'll just be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
My worldview, my life experience is just very different from, the suburban mom that I am. But this job allows me to connect with people all over the country. Wendy lives in South Maryland. I live in South Texas. I've got a client I'm talking to this afternoon in Seattle. And I feel like I have such rich, amazing conversations with people through our podcast and through being on other people's podcasts and getting to collaborate and work with people. I never would have had the opportunity to do that if I had stayed where I'm at. And again, just that regular 9 to 5 is just is not a viable option for me. So this job really meets and checks a lot of things for me in a very fulfilling way that I would not have gotten otherwise.
So you mentioned that right now what you're really specializing in are retreats. like
Mhm.
business retreats. So could you talk a little bit about A, what that looks like, and then B, um, do you go on the retreats? How does that land with you, the world that you're living with your families?
So we definitely go on the retreats.
Yeah.
And we started off by doing one a year. We do them on board a Virgin Voyages cruise. So it's 4 to 5 days, adults only, and it's just really a wonderful way of combining our philosophies. So we follow what we call a savor method, stepping out of your comfort zone, aligning with your passions and purpose, venturing under your own power, open to connection and community, unwinding with self care, and ritualizing gratitude and celebration. And this is how we work with our clients. And so we take a small, really curated group of women and we set sail. And it's very unstructured. So my background as a meeting planner, I worked for corporations and higher education. And what I found, and also Krystal in her findings through event planning, is that it's really the magic happens not when you're sitting in a straight back chair in a freezing room with no windows and there's a talking head in the front and all of this PowerPoint going on. That the magic really happens when you're sitting and they have these day beds and we're just lounging at the back of the ship on these day beds just brainstorming, or we are up late at night and we have someone who pulls cards and things like that, and or the magic that happens when we did high tea at sea, and then all of a sudden you get an idea, you write it down, and you have not people who are performative and there just to blow smoke. They're there to allow you to be vulnerable and help you nurture what it is that you're looking to create. And so there's a lot of, venturing under your own power means we do, what did we do? We did boy band dancing.
Boy band dance class once.
That was really fun.
That was also a step out of your comfort
Yes.
zone moment.
Yeah.
If there was
Yes.
ever.
I love that.
And they have, we do private karaoke. We get off, we have if you'd like to, we get off the ship and go venture wherever the ports are, these different sorts of things. And it really creates, I think, a wonderful synergy and also a very different experience. And people come at it from different perspectives and also with different either problems, issues, questions, whatever it is. And the whole really, I think the strength of it is we are here to help you solve your problem. We are here to help you answer your questions. So it's not how do you fit what we're talking about into a box and see if it fits. It's how can we create and help you create the framework or the plan, the strategy to achieve what it is that you want. Because whether, no two people are the same.
Right.
Yeah, and we participate, and we even usually have different goals as well that we bring to the table. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think it's really a transformative experience. So yeah, and we're looking to go from doing one a year to 2 a year.
Yeah. So with all of those retreats, what's really cool about it too is that when you work in the industry that we work in, okay, it's an online business owner, as a coach, as a we work with, again, if you're a life coach, we have intuitive business coaches that come with us. We have web designers, Kartra specialists, Facebook ads experts. It's all these different people. One, I think a lot of us are having the exact same problem. Okay. We just want more clients to make more money, right? If we're really whittling down to the bare bones of it, there's just different ways that we're going to go about doing that. But I think there gets to be a point as a business owner where we've all taken the courses and we've done the group programs, and there's the opportunity to do the $30,000 a year mastermind, right? But there's like this middle ground that we were all in where I just want the community and the connection of people.
Yeah.
I want the accountability, and I want to, Wendy's point, solve a problem that's unique to me, not go out and try and find somebody already offering the solution to the problem I have.
Yeah.
And hope that it lands and hopes that it's a blueprint I can follow and all of those things. And so much of the way we structure our retreats is, one, you're there with all people in the same, that speak the same language, that understand those languages of lead magnets or funnels or whatever it is that you're wanting to, all the jargon behind the scenes. Even my own husband doesn't speak or really quite understand. And he's got an MBA, right? But it's different, when you're talking to somebody in a corporate setting. And then, to weave in all of the magic that Wendy was talking about, because I think at the end of the day, most of us need the rest and we need the space away. And you had asked Amanda, how do you go away when we're all juggling all of the things, right? I gotta tell you, it's not easy, and it was really hard at first.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of outside judgment and not nice things said when I left for the first couple of times to do these things. And at the same time, so when my travel business was centered around girlfriend getaways, that was my magic. And Wendy's was a very similar thread. It was transformative retreats and getaways for midlife women. I think that there is something so incredibly important for a woman to step away from her day-to-day obligations and things and do something for herself. It's radical. It is rebellious to Wendy's persona of this.
Yeah.
But when you want to look at why are we here on this, you have this one big, beautiful life. What are you here for? Right? It's where the serendipitous part comes in. We're really here to try and find the joy out of it. And when you live a life like we have both lived, and I won't speak for Wendy, but life is hard, and there have been hard things, right? My daughter's had several brain surgeries over the last several years, and we juggle a lot of just tough stuff. I haven't spoken to my mom in 3 years. There's just like baggage and things, right? I get away and I do these retreats, and they are work, and we are leading them and we are facilitating them, but I get the opportunity to connect with soul sisters, like really have connection in a real way. Be vulnerable and share that I'm going through these hard things at home and I'm having a hard time, and have a community of people that are there to uplift and support, right? To have the time and space to take a break from having to be the one in charge here at home and run all of the things and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that women need that and need to get out of their containers of their silos at home, because we are the manufacturers of all the Christmas joy and the things and all of the expectations, right? I saw a meme once that it was like, what do you bring to the table? And the answer from the woman was, I am the table. I am the table. I am the curator of the magic and the recipes and the food and the gathering of the people together and the curating of the relationships and all of the things. But also, women are tired.
The interesting part of the retreats as well is that sometimes participants come for personal reasons. We did have someone who had recently been divorced, and she just needed a break. And she just needed to be able to enjoy the company of each other and just an environment that it was a totally different setting, an opportunity to step out of her comfort zone, going dancing at night, doing things that did she work on her business? Yes. But was that her priority? No. And I think allowing us to be as multidimensional as we are and really having the opportunity to explore what's really in our hearts is also such, it's a gift. It is, I think it's really a gift. And I know I've been fortunate that growing up, my parents traveled. They traveled with each other. And for a long time, my mother was horrified. What do you mean you're not going somewhere with your husband? That was, but I learned it's okay to leave the family. They survive. And sometimes they really thrive because they don't have mom there as the constant crutch. And I found that when I would come home, the kids would be, I think, happier. And that was even hard. I remember the first couple times, it's like, what do you mean? You didn't miss me so much? Well, we missed you, but we did da 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 da, all this, and I think that it really was it became a really healthy balance that, I will travel a few times a year. And whether it's for work, whether it's for play, whatever it is, without the family and with the understanding that they should do the same thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're illuminating for me is that working on yourself is working on your business.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
as we kind of come to a close, Soulful Connections, this podcast is part of an ecosystem under what I've created called Soulful Living.
Mhm.
So when you hear the phrase soulful living, what does that mean to you, or what does that look like to you?
Wow. Well, it's all about the soul. And I know there's a spelling difference. But it's all about what's in your heart. And that is so important. And I think that when you have opportunities like you're providing, where you're opening up a whole new world to women to see things in a different light, to allow them to explore different things. I think that it's beautiful, and it's so needed, in the world we live in. And I think about it, and I think, in order to have a full life, you do have to have that soul piece of it. And I also like the fact that it's sun as well, which I think we need as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think uh, I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan. This is my guilty pleasure in life. 20 something years in, I can't give it up.
I just started it, Krystal. So
Oh,
I will be doing this until I'm 99, I
so
think.
it's fine. We're just going to bring you along for the ride. Welcome to the club. But and I won't give you spoilers since you're just now
Oh, it's
starting
okay.
it. But
You can spoil it. By the time I get to see the end, who knows?
who knows? But I think there's like a part in there where she realizes, Christina and Meredith are like the twisted sisters, right? Which I think sometimes it was Wendy and I in a lot of ways. But there is a point where Christina looks at Meredith and says he's very dreamy, talking about McDreamy, but he is not the son, you are.
Mm.
And when I think about, and then there's like this stance where, Meredith's sitting there with a bottle of tequila. She's like, I am the son. I am the son. But I think that so much of what I think is some intersection of your work at Soulful Living and what we even do at Serendipitous Rebel is giving women the permission and understanding that they are the sun, that they are the center, they are the table. However it is that you want to do it, you are as much of an important part of this world as anybody else, and have a right to be the center. And it's not selfish, and it's not because it's like, even my daughter was upset about something last night. I said, well, you only can control yourself. You cannot control other people, but you can control how you react to it. So much of that autonomy and agency is realizing that we are valuable, important pieces of this. So to Wendy's even point, it's like, you are the soul understanding that and nurturing that, I think is how we make the world a better place. And I think when you talk, Wendy and I've said that for years, if we want to have ripple effects and make the world better, because there's just so much about this world I would like to make better, I think it starts by empowering women to have agency and a voice, because I think women nurture their corners of the world.
I think you are both embodying with your business what soulful living is in so many ways. So I really am excited to hear about it. And I'm excited to learn from both of you individually and collectively. Thank you for coming on the podcast and also
thank
for the
you.
work you're doing.
Well, thank you so much
You
for
too.
giving us the opportunity. I think, again, I think there's so much intersection in our work that it's really serendipitous, if you will, but it's really fun.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Thank you for being a valued part of the Soulful community. Thank you to William Aronson for writing, recording, and producing the SolFul Connections theme song. And finally, always know you're not alone. We are connected. We're all in this thing together. And you and your story are important. Let's just keep on connecting.